your name and address for the record. You may begin.
My name is John Humphrey. I live at 201 West Fairview Avenue in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, you may begin.
We are a failed community when a citizen of our neighborhood feels a presence of danger, calls repeatedly for police assistance, doesn't get it, and subsequently killed. I personally do not blame the Dayton police for the tragic death of Klonda Richey, but I do blame the systemic dysfunction of the Dayton legal system and outdated policies of the Dayton Police Department. We mourn the loss of truly a good human being, and you will not hear the end of this until we gain satisfaction that there will be changes in the manner in which nuisance complaints are handled. As residents of the Frock area, we can testify to incidents where we, like Klonda Richey, have called the police about threats of hostility, incivility, and aggression. Like Ms. Richey, we too have been told there's nothing we can do about this unless we actually see the problem. Well, that makes no sense. If a person calls repeatedly, something is wrong. When a person feels danger, threats, or intimidated, and has taken the time to call for police assistance, because we are told not to take matters into our own hands, let the police handle it, that suggests that the police will handle it. But this is not the case here. We live in an inner city which has become a crime containment zone. What happens here is 10 times worse than in other communities. But police here are trained to do their jobs without regard to the climate or atmosphere of their surroundings. Unfortunately, many people in our area do not respect the law. It doesn't take the common sense to determine who actually respects this law or who shows contempt for authority and could care less about the welfare of the community. We are outraged by this killing, and we will no longer stand for our community leaders to practice crime containment. We demand more police protection and training for our police to address criminality and focus more on this grave situation we experience in the Frock neighborhoods. We strongly recommend a community police station or satellite office be located on North Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Humphreys.
Paula Humphrey. I want to state your name and address.
Paula Humphrey, 201 West Fairview Avenue.
Okay, you may begin.
I'm speaking to substantiate my husband John Humphrey's claim that we in the Frock neighborhood live in an area that has become a crime containment zone. This is a term that we didn't just pull out of the air. We learned this term from many studies of journals and publications about inner city crime. And when John mentioned a systemic dysfunction in law enforcement, that is because city ordinances rules are not enforced. Ordinance rules designed to keep peace and order in the community might as well not exist. And city authorities have breached their contract with its citizens. In our study, we have read articles by the following: David Massey, John Delio, Nancy Denton, and Major O.L. Com. I will give a short summary of 2 published articles describing inner city circumstances such as ours in the Frock area, where communities is victimized by predatory criminals who conduct open-air drug markets. Delio states that criminal predators form fellowships and dominate the neighborhood. They prey on young males with undue influence as adult role models. Direct victimization may occur as rape, mugging, or murder. Indirect victimization, which you will hear about at our neighborhood association meetings, are those of instilling fear, threats of retaliation, dogs used for intimidation, menacing random gunshots heard throughout the neighborhood, alarming the community to the presence of criminal intent. Major Com, himself a law enforcement agent, explains in his master's thesis that the practice of maintaining a crime containment zone serves to benefit the overall society. In our case, this is the entire greater Dayton area, including outlying suburbs, by sacrificing one neighborhood where crime is contained for the well-being of others. Our Frock neighborhood fits this description. He writes that the threat to the internal security of the unfortunate, eroded neighborhood is profound. He also claims that in these areas, it is not the economy, but crime that has caused the erosion. He explains that within inner-city crime zones, citizens' complaints are not taken seriously because police are focused on major emergency-type crimes and not normal community policing. Calm states that within these areas, a subculture develops, one of incivility, disorderliness, and intimidation. He calls for additional police backup and advocates for reinforcements and specialized police tactics for inner cities where law and order has disintegrated. A police center on North Main Street is long overdue. By employing new tactics and securing reinforcements, Dayton could be a model for other inner cities. I implore our city to develop new ideas to restore safety in the Frock neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries.
Lindy McDonough. You want to state your name and address for the record, and you may begin, okay?
My name is Lindy McDonough, 327 Sandalwood Drive.
Okay, you may begin.
Okay. I have lived on Sandalwood Drive in the city of Dayton for 35 years, and I am currently president of the Hillview Neighborhood Association. Over the years, I have observed a decline in our area, including poorly maintained homes and businesses, vacant buildings, crime, litter, and the proliferation of large dogs that are loose, neglected, and abused. I was outraged by the recent mauling death of Klonda Richey, but not surprised. With the large number of irresponsible dog owners, a tragedy like Klonda's was bound to happen. And the Hillview neighborhood, where I live, is just 5 blocks from Miss Richey's home. Some dog owners let their dogs run loose after dark and before light in the morning, hoping nobody will notice. Will the next dog attack be on a child waiting at a bus stop in the morning darkness? I am a dog lover and owner, but our yard is quite small and not fenced, so we walk our dog on a leash 4 times a day. My husband and I are fearful almost every time we walk our dog in the neighborhood because we don't know what to expect around the next corner. Both of us have been charged by pit bulls running loose while walking our dog, and nearly everyone I know in our neighborhood who walks their dog has had a similar experience. It is terrifying because you don't know if the approaching dog has been loved and well cared for or abused and trained to attack. There are many dog owners in our neighborhood with all kinds and sizes of dogs who consistently keep their dogs fenced, chained, or indoors. But something must be done about the irresponsible dog owners who refuse to confine their animals. I assume that the city would like to keep and attract law-abiding citizens who care for their homes and pets and work to keep the neighborhoods clean, safe, and inviting. However, because of the casual attitude toward dog ownership by police and animal shelters, you are driving good tax-paying people out of the city. We have wonderful neighbors, many who have lived in our neighborhood for decades, and they should not have to be afraid to walk around the block. My own husband is ready to move away anytime I'm willing, but I keep hoping that the growing climate of fear and dread will change.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Ms. McDonough. With regard to the more serious issue regarding the terrible tragedy that happened on Bruce Avenue around 10 days ago, I wanted to see if Mr. Reardon or his staff had any comments, and then I'm sure we have some comments too.
Well, what I'd like to indicate to the people is we take this very seriously. It's a tragic situation, and we've pulled together a group that's legal, police, and others in the staff. And what we hope to do is to make some recommendations both for changes in state law. We're going to look at the city laws in terms of anything we need to do there. And the third thing we wanted to look at is the the use of the mediation center to deal with some of the people and bring the neighbors together and try to get neighborhood solutions to some of these items. If there's any specific questions the commissioners wanted to ask about any of the laws as we go and look at that, Mr. Danish is prepared to make some comments if you'd like to hear him talk about that.
I'll go right ahead.
Thank you. I guess I would be interested in knowing, for the citizens' benefit, what process would they use to enter into the mediation center with any individual that they're having a conflict with?
Let me ask Mr. Sorrell to come up and to explain that process. Oh, it's not Mr., excuse me, Ms. Regal is here today.
Okay.
Ms. Regal.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commission. For the Mediation Center, if an individual is in a situation where they are interested at coming to the table and discussing the different options that they have in dealing with the situation, there are mediators that are, the citizens can contact the Mediation Center directly, and they can set up an appointment to meet with the mediators. They have handled many situations of this nature, anything from whether it be with neighbor complaints or within a neighborhood or a community group. So,
Ms. Regal, are you required, though, to do mediation? Do both sides have to agree to come forward?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, yeah.
yes, both sides would come forward. With the form of mediation that the Mediation Center provides to our citizens, it is not something that dictates an end result. So the mediator is not making a ruling at
Correct.
the end. What they're doing is helping to facilitate the conversation. So they do ask that both individuals come for, or both sides, both parties come forward to participate in the conversation to come together for a resolution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
What if both sides won't come forward?
In that case, they can help work with them about other community resources that they may be able to take advantage of to either help bring the other party to the table for a discussion or pursue other avenues for intervention.
Anything else?
Yep, I'm good.
If I
Thank you.
can, I wanted to jump into, before I do have to just go to the side. I want to say how much I enjoyed hearing from Sir William Michael. You did a very good job of presenting yourself today. Thank you. If I can, I want to address the speakers also. First of all, I want to say thank you. I know that Mr. and Mrs. Humphrey and Miss McDonough, you wouldn't come here unless this was a very something serious and you have a sincere concern. I know you all to be very caring members of the community, so appreciate your comments and your willingness to come and bring this issue forward. Two things. This is obviously very serious for us. It's a very sensitive issue. I don't know if it's appropriate for us to go into too much speculation up here on the dais. I will say that each and every one of us are very concerned about the issue, and I can tell you last week I talked to both the city manager and our clerk and asked them, what can we do more? Can we look at our current laws? If there's more we can do around technology, what can we do more to try to get around this issue? I too live in a Frock neighborhood. I too have seen folks walk around with dogs, and I'm not sure why a dog is loose, particularly in the morning when you could have kids out trying to catch the bus. So I think we all have similar concerns, and I'm confident that we're going to take some steps to improve this situation. At the same time, I want to also make sure that we don't lose sight of there has been some good work done in Frock also. Some good work done by Good Samaritan Hospital, by Dayton Public Schools in terms of what they did with the new school. Very excited about what the library is about to do. Very excited about what our city and specifically our police department has done around the Frock neighborhood. Is there more to do? Absolutely. But I just don't want us to lose sight of all the good things that have gone on in Frock also. But thank you very much for coming. Please know that we have the very same concerns, and I'm very confident that you will see some changes on our end. However, this is a much larger issue. It's us, we have to do some things differently, but it's also dealing with in the judicial system also. So it's a very encompassing, very serious issue that none of us are taking lightly.
I just wanted to I want to thank my neighbors in Frock coming forward today. This, I think, as Commissioner Williams said, every one of us know or have been a part of some of these issues with dogs and being unsure of what's going on, like Ms. McDonough talks about. So it's a tragedy that someone's life is lost over it. But I think the best thing we can do is figure out how we make sure that no one else's life or danger is lost in it in the future. I've talked yesterday with 3 state representatives, Representative Butler, Representative Winburn, and Representative Strayhorn. We will be sending a letter with recommendations to the state legislature on ways that they can tighten up their law. Specifically, I think it's bothersome to us, and I've told them this, that Animal Resource Center can contact someone 9 times, and there's no requirement for them to call back. And so that is one place where the state legislature can take a more active role. I know we'll have others with talking to the police department, planning and community development, and certainly if our neighbors have any recommendations to the state law, we'd be happy to pass those on and communicate those. But you can contact your state legislatures as well. We encourage that even more. And they're very interested and very engaged with this issue, I should say. I mean, they all called me as well as I calling them, so they're very interested in working on the state law issue. So I think we can work with them. And then locally, you know, I think we're trying to figure out how we can address the ordinance issue. Our ordinance is actually much more aggressive than the state law is when it comes to dog issues. And then how we can make sure that it's enforced is the next question, right? So I think that's the point that the Humphreys are talking about. How do we get to enforcement and really make sure that there's a culture of acceptability in our neighborhoods, and that's why the mediation center comes in play. Ms. McDonough, if you're interested too, as a president of Highview neighborhood, if there's an interest in working with the mediation center right away so we can do some neighborhood actions around this, we'd be more than happy to work with neighborhoods to really work with the mediation center, and we're open to that immediately. I certainly appreciate you all coming forward today and taking the time to sit through a commission meeting to talk about this issue. We recognize how important it is and how it affects the quality of life to our whole community, and definitely for Commissioner Williams and I as we live in Frog and see these issues every day. So thank you. Thank you for your time, and know that we're taking action.